Hey Flosstube friends, my name is Lynn and this is my channel Those Missing Stitches, where I talk about cross stitch and other crafty things and a little bit of reading at the very end. Today is Sunday, September 1st, 2024, and this is my Flosstube number 21. Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining me on this cross stitch journey. I'm so happy it's September. I love fall and all the things that fall brings with it, including Halloween, one of my favorite holidays of the year. And then that just leads into Thanksgiving and Christmas and all the fun times over the fall and end of the year holidays. I'm so excited for this time of year. It's absolutely my favorite. I love the weather. I love the change in the colors. I love all the holidays. I love everything about it. So happy September, everyone. I hope you enjoy the season too, for those of you that are in the northern hemisphere and enjoying fall or coming up on fall too. It's still very hot where I am. So definitely doesn't feel like fall yet, but it's getting there. September 1st seems to kind of trigger that, like, it's actually happening. Fall's coming. Excitement in me. So I'm very excited fall is coming. For today, I have a lot to go over. I have some Flosstuber mentions of some people I've been watching lately, and a special congratulations for a Flosstuber out there who is open to shop. I have all of my whips and some cross stitch updates, including a finish and a couple of new starts. I have some haul, and I have several giveaways at the end of the cross stitch section of this video, so stick around for that. I have lots of things to give away. And then I have books at the very end. I do have some books that I read in August that I will talk about at the very end. So first of all, let me start with the Flosstube shout outs. So first, there are a couple of newer to me and potentially newer to Flosstube that I've been watching. One that I just watched this a couple of days ago is Pieced Pineapple Studio, and I will link her down below. She had a whip parade with lots of really awesome projects, and they're all right up my alley. So a lot of the same taste as me. I was really happy to see her Flosstube video, and I subscribed right away. So I'll link her down below if you're interested in subscribing and seeing some of her stuff as well. And then I've also been watching Julie in Stitches. I love her pattern choices. She has some really beautiful stitching. Not so much full coverage, a lot more samplers and smaller pieces, but really, really pretty color choices and really, really pretty pattern choices. So I've enjoyed watching her lately. And last but not least, this is a seasoned floss tuber, let's say. If you've watched Antique Needleworkers with Shellie Fry, she has been around on Flosstube for a while, and she made a big announcement on her last video about opening her store. Shellie is a customer of mine, and we've been working together for a while. I met her at StitchCon, and we had a really great conversation. She was really excited about opening this shop and all the stuff she's been doing to work hard on getting this open, doing reproduction samplers. So she has a couple patterns out in paper format in her shop, and then a couple patterns out in PDF format in her Etsy shop as well. So I will link both of those down below, and I will have some of her PDFs to give away at the end of this video. So congratulations to Shellie. Very excited for you and excited to see what the future brings for you. I know you have a couple ideas and you have some more things coming out. It's just a great opportunity, and I'm glad to see you joining in on the sampler reproduction um, marketplace. So congratulations, Shellie. Okay, so now for me, let's get into what I worked on in August. So for my stats, I always like to start out my video going through my cross-stitch stuff with my stats. For August, I worked on a total of 10 projects for 29,552 stitches. I have one finish and I have two new starts. So let's get into my whips. I'm going to start with my finish. Sounds kind of backwards, but what I finished was the pattern Welcome Halloween by the Drawn Thread. I stitched this on 18 count vintage country mocha 2/1 full cross in the called for Weeks Dye Works or Dinky Dyes. I forget what it is, whatever the called for threads are. And this is my finish. So welcome Halloween. Love it. And I chose Vintage Country Mocha because I also stitched, last year I finished Trick or Treat by the Drawn Thread, which is very similar colors, a lot of the same threads as well. Actually, I have it, and I wanted to hold them up together. And I wanted kind of once I frame them, I want them kind of matchy-matchy, a little bit of matchy-matchy in the frames and kind of offset from each other during my, or up in my Halloween display. So sorry, drop that one. Okay, that was a little difficult. So since it's a little hard to hold them together, I'm just going to insert a picture of them together here so you can see them side by side. So that is Welcome Halloween by the Drawn Thread, my one finish for August. Happy to have that ready to frame. There's actually a sale going on this weekend for art to frame, so I measured it and I'm going to order some frames for my recent finishes so I can get those up and hopefully displayed for in the next couple weeks. Okay, now let's talk about my new starts. My first new start, when I saw this one come out in the Etsy shop, I ordered it right away. I needed to have it and I got it. They watermark their PDF. So I was anxious. I ordered it on Friday, but I got it by Saturday morning. So I was super excited to start it on Saturday. I didn't think they would respond over the weekend. This is Halloween Sampler by Crosette Agogo, and I'm probably not saying that right. Um, love it. There's several sales going on right now, so I'll link those sales below if you're interested in joining in on the sale. I started this one on 18 count Poetic Pony Boy, which is a color that's in my shop. And here is how far I've gotten. Doing 2 over 1 full cross with the called for DMCs. I stitched a total of 3,715 stitches, which is 13.25%. A little closer. Love how the colors are coming out on this fabric. So pretty. Really excited to get to the bottom where the little ravens are and the little motif down at the bottom. I think the house is going to be a lot of stitching, but I'm really looking forward to working on this one. I do enjoy working on it. I love the oranges, and there's purples that get in a little later that are just gorgeous. So lots of activity on Instagram for the sales for this one if you want to join in. My next new start, and I need to tell a story with this one. Okay, so you'll hear, if you stick around for the book section, you'll hear a couple weeks ago I finished the book A Thousand Broken Pieces by Tilly Cole. And in it, there are a group of teenagers that are grieving for loss of a loved one, parent, friend, sometimes multiple people, um, but they are deeply in grieving and go on this grief support tour that's sponsored by Intensive Grief Therapy program, where they tour around Europe and Asia over the summer and learn about different cultures and learn about how they grieve and how they honor their loved ones. And one of the places that they stop is Japan, where one of the scenes in the book they talk about kintsugi, and I don't know if I'm saying that right, but basically it's the art of piecing together ceramics um, with gold paint or gold glue with like gold mixed into it. But in this scene in this book, there's this counselor that asks the kids, and they're all like 17, 18. They're not really kids, they're just teenagers. But hands them a plate and asks them to describe it, and they say it's it's whole, it's a perfect circle, it's supportive, it's beautiful, all these adjectives to talk about what a plate would be. And then she says, okay, throw it. And they kind of, after a little hesitation, they drop it and it breaks. She says, no, pick up the pieces. And she brings them into another room and she talks about the art of kintsugi. And while she's talking about it, she's gluing something together with this gold paint. And basically, it's a whole metaphor for the idea of no matter how broken the piece is, with enough time and effort, it can be put back together. And they correlate it to their own journeys with grief and how broken they feel. That no matter how broken you feel as an individual, you can come back and you can heal from that, or you can be healed from that with enough support and effort. And sometimes even in a more beautiful way because of this gold paint, essentially, with the metaphor. But yes, you were broken and had to be put back together, and it's never going to be the same as this perfect circle or this perfect plate or whatever it was before, but it can be repaired and it can still serve its purpose and go on. So that section of the book really resonated with me. And when I saw this artwork, I didn't notice it initially. I was just really attracted to the artwork. But when I really started looking deeper into it, I realized what it was about. And it's related to this kintsugi. So this is My Golden Path by Adrian Borda. It's charted by Unconventional Cross Stitch. And I'm a fan of Adrian Borda. I have several of his pieces going. But this one in particular, the fact that I had just finished that book and loved that part of the book, and then saw this pattern and started digging into it and seeing some of this artwork of like this, she's pieced back together as the main focus of the piece, and then she's piecing this doll back together. And if you look at the reflection in her eyes, there appears to be a man and a woman, like a couple, in the reflection in her eyes, watching her piece this doll back together. So just really powerful artwork to me, and I was super excited to start this. Um, but really meant a lot to me, connecting it to the art that it's related to, and the fact that that part of that book really resonated with me, and how powerful that message can be about healing and piecing yourself back together even in the most dire of times. So I did start this on 28 count easy guide Lugana, 2 over 110 stitch, and I've done a total of 7,070 stitches for 3.14%. And here is where I'm at. I've only done 310 so far, and I love how it's coming out. I'm not sure if I'm going to color complete or continue to color complete. Some of it is so spread out, I'm a little nervous if I continue with 310 that I'm going to miscount. So I might do something that goes, I might switch colors after I get done with the 310 that goes down this column to something that spreads across the whole pattern, just to have something to anchor it. What I love, if you go in on the eye, you can see the reflection of her hand, and a little bit, here's a little bit of the outline of the gentleman that's standing up, and then the woman is like sitting down. So really, really cool. Seeing it even with one color, seeing so much of the story come to life, even with that little bit that I've done so far, is really exciting. So love this one. Love Adrian Borda and all his artwork. Um, but this one in particular has really been speaking to me, obviously. So thanks for sticking around and hearing that story. I hope it means something to you too. Or if you are struggling with anything, that kind of, like, maybe this is something you'll remember when you do go through something that you're struggling and feeling broken. So thank you for sticking with that. It makes me think of it every time I'm stitching on that and working on that, just how much it touches my heart to see that piece of art. So, okay, moving on. Happier stuff. I'm gonna go through, that was it for my new start. So now I'll just go through my other whips, and I typically start with the stuff that I have monthly goals on. The first one that I worked on is 324. This is a chart by Works by ABC. I'm stitching this one on 25 count silvery moon Lugana, 1 over 1 full cross, with the call for colors, which of course are 324 DMC colors. My goal is to average about one square a day, and I am on track for that. I was a little ahead in the first few months that I worked on it, so I haven't in the last 2 months necessarily done one per day, but in total, I'm still on track. So in August, I did a total of 386 stitches, and now over the whole thing, I'm at 6,815 stitches for 46.2%. So I'm definitely on track for getting this done within a year. Look how pretty and colorful it is. The hardest part, I mean, it doesn't take a lot of DMC, but the hardest part is definitely pulling every single color. So right now I'm just working on, because I do have a max color for the Grand Library kitted up. I just pull a strand from that kit. That's why it's kind of random down here. It's whatever I actually already have in that kit. Then once I'm done with whatever that section, with whatever I have kitted up already in that other project, then I go back and pull the colors that I don't have in there. So slowly but surely that one's coming together. Still on track for having it done before a year. Next is Saga. This is another one of my monthly goals. This is by Long Dog Samplers. I started this one as part of the Long Dog Leap Year, or yeah, Long Dog Leap Year. I think sometimes it's called Long Dog Leap Day, Sal. Started on Leap Day of 2024, and the idea is to finish it by the next Leap Day in 2028. In order to do that, I think I have to do around 2,100, 2,200 stitches per month, and I am on target for that. At this point, I did have a row finish. So here's where I was the last time I showed this. And in August, I did a total of 2,310 stitches. Now in total, I'm at 13,827 for 13.3%. I am stitching this one on 20 count Lugana in the color sensitive Sylvie from my shop. And here is, I'm going to see if I can hold this up. Here is where I am now. This is a very big piece. It's a very big pattern. Very excited to start on that second column or the second row and just get a different type of column in there. I have not done any of the back stitching because I'm a little nervous about um, back stitching getting caught under the Q-snap. So I'm saving all the back stitching for last, and I guess I'm a glutton for punishment. I hope I don't regret it, but I think I would regret more if I ended up snagging, some of the back stitching on the Q-snap or something. So I'm going to continue to hold off. Really loving how this is coming out. It is huge, but definitely not my biggest project. So I do enjoy just that it's easy to stitch on. I don't have to have a whole ton of concentration. It is a lot of counting, but I don't have to have a whole ton of concentration. Only two colors, so it's not difficult to switch back and forth. Okay, still on target with that one too. Next is my massive piece, the Grand Library. This is the regular size max color version. Artist is Amy Stewart and is charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. I'm stitching this one on 18 count Easy Guide Ada 2/1 full cross. I have a 2-page completion. So I'm super excited. Here's where I was the last time I showed it. In August, I did a total of 5,535 stitches, which is well more than my monthly goal, but it caught me up a little bit. Not quite caught up to where I wanted to be for the year, but it helped catch up on some of the months I had less. Now, I did surpass that 50% mark. I'm at 205,240 stitches for just shy of 51% at 50.96. So here is this section, 2-page section, now that I finished. You can see it's a little bit of, I think it's Western is its section, and then it goes into the middle section where the fireplace is going to be, and there's bookshelves and the ribbon and the book there. So since I have it out of the Q-snap, I'm going to pause and I'm going to stand up and roll out this massive thing and show you the whole piece at 50.96%. So hold on just 1 second. And here you go. The Grand Library regular size max color 18 count massive piece at 50.96%. I still have some filling to do down in the bottom right corner with the romance and the mystery section, and then a little bit further down, about half a page section down until I get to the bottom of the pattern. Just love, it's so gorgeous when I roll it out like this and see all the colors. I'm gonna go close up. Start over there. So pretty. All the way over. And then on this section, that's where I just finished. And then down to the romance and mystery section. But there is the Grand Library. Okay, I'm gonna pause and sit back down. Okay, that was it for my monthly goals. Now I'm just on to whatever else I worked on in August. So first I worked on All Hallows Eve. This is by Joan Elliott Designs. I'm stitching this one on 25 count Lugana in the color Brave Boromir from my shop. In August, I stitched a total of 543 stitches, and in total I'm at 7,644. Here's where I was the last time I showed this on a video. And of course, I pulled it out again because it's Halloween time and I'm excited to work on all things Halloween. And here's where I am now. So getting some of that witchy section done, that middle section with the owl on top of the perch. I'm stitching this one 1/1 full cross with DMC 310. I love how that's coming out. So gorgeous. I love Joan Elliott. Okay, next, I stitched Busy Hands, Happy Heart. This is a Hello from Liz Matthews chart that was exclusive on our Patreon. It is gone now, but I know she releases it in her shop probably sometime next year. I'm stitching this one on 20 count Devoted Dobbin, which is a color from my shop, and 2/1 full cross with DMC B5200. And here's where, oh, let me show where I was at in the last video. I stitched a total of 1,400 stitches. So in total, I'm at 2,076 stitches for 26.79%. And here's where I'm at now. And I did make a little boo-boo. And this little crossways section that's down and across is only supposed to be 3 stitches, and I did 4. And I didn't realize until I got into this flower, and it was just way too much to frog. I'm just going to fib it. It's a mirror on the other side and a mirror on the bottom. So I'm just going to add that extra stitch on both sides so that it's still even. I'll be a little closer to the border, or the border that's in between with the words in it, and I'll have to add some extra stitches to that border, but it's going to work. I'm going to fib it and it'll work. Not a problem. Still looks beautiful. And this is a quarter of the pattern, so it's not huge, so I'm flying pretty well on that one. I actually think the fabric's a little bigger than it even needs to be, so coming out gorgeous. Love how that one's coming out. Not a fan of my stitches with the B5200. I don't know why the white, to me the white feels like it's more obvious that my stitches are messy, but I don't have to look at it that close. I just love how it's all coming out. Okay, next is Night Circus Lovely number 7. The artist is Jessica Jackson, and this is charted by the Sewing Shop Inc. I'm stitching this one on 25 count Easy Guide Lugana 3 over 110 stitch. In August, I did a total of 3,546 stitches. I was originally color completing this, and now I'm just all over the place because I want to throw some of that red in there. In total, I'm at 39,924, and I hit 25.08%. Here's where I was the last time I showed this. I just showed her face because all I was doing was filling in some of the reds and the pinks in her face. But I went all over the place this month and filled in a lot more of the red. And here's where I am now. Love how that red is coming in. All on her sleeves, all around her face. So gorgeous. Bring a little bit of life. See the red, putting the red closer. A little bit of life coming into it. So, not sure if I'll continue to color complete or just go random. But loving how it's coming out. Loving working on this. One of my favorite pieces ever. Another one I love the artwork for and love working on it. So, okay. Next is, actually last but not least, is the Pride and Prejudice sampler by Lena Ova on Etsy. There is a Lena Ova sal going on, so I will link that one down below. I did a total, I'm stitching this one on 20 count Earnest Emma, which is a color from my shop, 2 over 1 full cross, and with a Soaks for You PR 065, I believe. Here's where I was the last time I showed this. And in August, I did a total of 2,482 stitches. In total, I'm at 9,046 stitches for 41.93%. Now, I'm removing the border, so I'm saying that 41.93% is with the border removed. It's not the total of the whole pattern. Removing that border took about 47 to 48% of the stitches out of the total pattern. I'm not intending to stitch the border. I'm just doing the inside. So here's where I'm at now. Did a whole bunch of the rest of that rectangle and a bunch of Lizzie in her dress, and the house is behind her. So almost finished with that section, and then I'll move on to the other side. I love how that's coming out. Love Pride and Prejudice and everything about literature. So that was the end of my cross stitch section. Now let's talk about my haul. So I did have a few purchases in August. Actually, this one, I purchased it a couple months ago when it first came out, and I forgot to show it on my Flosstube. So I want to make sure to highlight this. This is the Schitt's Creek sampler by Boomerang Stitches on Etsy. I will link it down below. She's one of the Hathaway stitchers. It's also a Flosstuber. I'll link their Flosstube as well if you're interested in watching their Flosstube. I love Schitt's Creek. Love this series. Love Eugene Levy and Catherine O'Hara and their dynamic that they have together and all the movies and everything that they've been in together. So this show is no exception. And the sampler really captures a lot of that show and the spirit of that show and some of the all these funny scenes that they have throughout the series. So great job on that sampler. I'm excited to stitch that at some point. I also purchased um, Winter in the Village by Stony Creek Collection. I saw another Flosstuber that was doing this one and I went and bought it right away. Very excited for this Christmas festive pattern. Very adorable. I'm not sure if I will do the bottom, the word. No, I know for sure I'm not going to do the words on the bottom. What I'm not sure is what I'm going to do in its place, whether I'm just going to do a line across the bottom, whether I'll still do the whole border and maybe fill in just this blue pattern, or maybe keep the blue and keep the holly and continue the holly across, but I definitely won't do the words. We'll see what I'm inspired to do once I get to that point. But it's going to be a while. So it's funny. I was watching Lala D Stitches. The last video that she did with her sister was totally adorable. The way they laughed together was just so cute. And she was talking about, they were both talking about all things Halloween and fall and loving this season and wanting to stitch fall things through most of the season, and then there's maybe like 2 weeks of Christmas stitching after all the fall stuff is done. So you get this little sneak peek of Christmas in there, and that's one of the ones I plan to do. I kind of feel the same way that everything Halloween and fall, once Halloween is over, maybe I'll throw in a little Christmas, but it's definitely not as long as the fall season for me. So speaking of Halloween, my next purchase in my haul was The Magic Book by Lindsay Swearingen. You can get this on Amazon, and someone had it at our most recent Stitchy group meetup for the Love of Stitches in the local Sacramento area, and I was able to flip through it, and I ordered it right away. It's everything that is my love language of cross stitching. It's 25 witchy patterns. Here's the back of it to show you what some of the patterns look like. Just gorgeous. Lots of witchy, gothic smalls. Very awesome for Halloween. Don't know if I'll start any right away, but definitely a Halloween spirit one and really good book with lots of very cute patterns. So definitely recommend. There is a Kindle version that's coming out, but I don't think it's been released yet if you want a digital format. But the physical format is on Amazon and they're quick to deliver it. So really love this book. And last but not least, I wanted to talk about my friend Stephanie, who's in the local For the Love of Stitches group as well. She has made some tote bags for me in the past, and she's launched her shop on Instagram. She does all custom orders, so you can message her on Instagram as well. She has done a tote bag for me before. She brought a bunch of fabrics, probably a little over a year ago, to um, the local group, and she just said, pick what you want. And I love these fabrics and wanted a tote bag in these fabrics. So this is the one I've had for close to a year. Definitely my style with the Halloween stuff, and the inside is purple and black as well. And there's a little snap on there. There is a little pocket on the front, and this holds like 3 or 4 projects. It holds quite a lot, so it's awesome. But there's this other fabric I wanted that she did not have enough for at the time, that I knew I wanted to get a project bag or a tote bag. I wanted all the things because I love this Halloween fabric. So this last meetup, she had everything done for me, and she brought it for me and stuff she didn't have enough of and had a special order and had it shipped in and did all these extra steps to get it for me. So thank you, Stephanie. I absolutely love this bag. Here's my new tote bag with this lovely Halloween fabric. I absolutely love it. And the inside is just this dark kind of galaxy kind of print. She also made me a retreat mat with the same fabric. And if you open it up, you can use it as a retreat and put your needles in it, put your scissors, your thread, um, these little rings for other thread. On the outside is this little pocket with this little zipper pull that is gorgeous. And as a special treat, she even put in Rose Apothecary fabric on the inside because she knew I love that fabric as well, and I like Schitt's Creek. So love how that came out. She also made me some grime guards. in the size that I wanted in the same fabric, and then the Rose Apothecary fabric as well. So that is Will Stitch for Coffee, Stephanie. Here's her card. Come on, focus. There we go. And then here's a QR code if you're just interested in scanning the QR code. I will also link her down below. As I said, everything is custom made, so just message her through Instagram if you're interested in anything. Um, she will make it for you. So thank you, Stephanie. And now it is time for giveaways. I have several patterns to give away, and I also have, as a special thank you for reaching 2,500 subscribers on my YouTube channel, a piece of fabric from my shop. So hang around, and I will tell you what the keywords are for the different things that I'm giving away. First of all, I do prefer if you're a subscriber. That would be really awesome if you're a subscriber here. But the rules for sure are you must be at least 18 years or older. I'm okay with international. I'll ship anywhere. I'll randomly draw from the people that use the keywords and announce on my next video who the recipients are of each of the things that I'm giving away. Then you just have to email me your name and address at thosemissingstitches@gmail.com, and I will ship those items off to you. Please, when you're making your comments, don't use the words like contest or giveaway or win. That tends to flag bots for trying to reach out to you and get your personal information. I personally will never reach out to you on YouTube and ask for any information. I'm asking you to email me if you are one of the winners. So don't respond to anything if you get any sort of bots or anything that looks like me on YouTube. So if you're interested in any of these items, just use the keyword in the comments below or several keywords. It's fine if you want to enter multiple. However creatively you want to put these keywords in there, or just use the words, that's fine. So first, these are some patterns that I've finished that I want to hand off to someone else that might be interested in stitching them. The first one is Away We Ride by Blackbird Designs. I finished this one earlier this year. And if you are interested in this pattern, use the keyword away, A-W-A-Y, for Away We Ride. The next giveaway is Welcome Halloween by the Drawn Thread. This is the one I just showed as my finish for this month, and I have the physical pattern. If you are interested in entering for this pattern, please use the word Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. Next is the other finish I had from the Drawn Thread last year, Trick or Treat. And this is a physical pattern as well. If you are interested in entering for this pattern and having me send it on to you, use the word treat, T-R-E-A-T. The next patterns I'm giving away are courtesy of Shellie Fry of the Antique Needleworkers, and thanks to her new opening of her Etsy shop. I will link that Etsy shop below as well. One of the new patterns I'm giving away. Now this one's just a PDF, so if you do win this one, all you have to do is send me your email address of where you want it sent to, and I will let Shellie know and she will send it on to you. The first one is the Delia Conger Sampler. Love the colors in this one. It's so pretty. I love the color palette. This is a reproduction sampler. If you're interested in more information about where this came from, you can watch her video about her big shop announcement. She talks about it a little more. If you're interested in getting a copy of this pattern, use the word sampler in your comments, S-A-M-P-L-E-R, and I will draw a winner for that one. And the next one from Shellie that I'm giving away is a mini, Be Ye Kind. If you're interested in this one and getting a copy of this one, please use the word kind in your comments, K-I-N-D. So that's it for the patterns. Those are the patterns I'm giving away. I also wanted to give away a piece of fabric from my shop. You can have any quarter yard cut of any color, any fabric type, fabric count that you're interested in that's in my shop. I would love to hear, for the comments for this, I'd love to hear what your favorite part of the fall season is. I realize it might not be fall for some of the international folks that are watching. So maybe just what is it that you're looking forward to for next fall, or what is it that you loved about the last fall that you were in? Just use the keyword fall, F-A-L-L, and in the comments if you're interested in a piece of fabric from my shop. You can enter all of them. I'm use as many keywords as you want. I'll randomly draw before the next video and choose the winners at that point. So thank you everyone. That's the end of my cross stitch section, end of my haul and my giveaway and everything related to cross stitch. I'm going to talk about books next, so if that's not your cup of tea, feel free to sign off, and I hope to see you next time. Now, if you did stick around, let's talk books. Okay, so in August, I finished 6 books. The first one I talked about a little bit in my cross stitch section, Thousand Broken Pieces by Tilly Cole. This is actually the second, or like a not a series, but like this is a continuation of a book, Thousand Boy Kisses, that she wrote several years ago, and I read it several years ago. This continues the story of the younger sister of the main character in the original book. This is a few years later after that book. She's now 17 and struggling significantly with the loss in her family and can't cope with that really. She's really changed her life significantly over not being able to get over this. So she's in intensive therapy and joins this program to travel internationally with this other group of teens that are grieving as well. They travel all over the place. Um, I think it's like Wales, Japan, India, multiple places where they study other cultures and how they deal with grief and loss and just really, really heavy um, topics, but I loved learning about the other cultures and how the author tied, like even in the course of the timeline, how she tied some of those cultures and what the kids learned from being in those cultures into their own grief and healing from their own grief. So really powerful words about grieving and loss, and especially about kintsugi and that part in Japan that really stuck with me. Um, so very heavy topics with grieving and a lot of loss and a lot of emotions, but really really um, lovely the way it came together and was put together. The next book I read, another heavy one, A Light in the Forest by Melissa Payne. A young lady escapes an abusive relationship with her infant son, and she doesn't know where to go. She has no family, no friends. Her mom had passed away, and she had spent her entire life with her mom, traveling around as like a nomad and living in a van with her mom, helping other abused women escape their relationships. And now here she finds herself in the same situation she grew up trying to keep people from, and she doesn't know where to go. All she has, like her mom never talked about her past. All she has is this photo of her mom as a teenager, and on the back of it is like a name of a town. She asked her mom about it once, and she just said, "Oh, I'd never go back there," but basically evaded. But she decides to go investigate a little more, try to figure out a little bit more about her mom's past, and thinks this is somewhere where no one will look for her. So at the same time, like it's a dual perspective. So we're getting a backstory of what we assume is her mom as a teenager and why she left. At the same time that we're getting the current story of the daughter whose name is Vega, um, and meeting people in this town and getting some, whether she's fitting in, trying to get some history of her mom. No one remembers her mom by the name that she's giving. Um, and just the connection of the two stories and how they're growing together. One of the parts of this book that I appreciated the most was there is a transgender character, and being in this backwoods town in the middle of nowhere, growing up and knowing her as someone else growing up, but her coming back as an adult and trying to own businesses, and there's basically this divide of this group of people that have accepted her and the people that are just very very hateful and mean, and just the connection, even though it's not a main character or the main character, it's not Vega, there is a connection, and really love how the story ties together, and really appreciated the sense of community and the people coming together for both of them, but also the reality of how hateful people can be to things they don't know and understand, and finding your community because of that, essentially, because you need that support that's outside of that. So appreciated that aspect of the story. It was a good book. Would recommend this one, but heavy topics again. Next one, on to even more heavy topics. The Frozen River by Ariel Lawton. This is a very, very hyped book, very popular right now. It takes place in post American Revolution America with a woman who is a midwife and a healer, and she's respected for her medical opinion. She gets called to, a body is found in the frozen river, and she gets called to inspect it and give her opinion. And there's all these ties to the community and this man that they did find being involved in other crimes and hated, and just about a lot of, of course, at the time, very male dominant culture, and people not accepting females' opinions, or some people are because she's so respected in the community, but there's this divide of, well, men are always going to be right and she's going to be wrong. But I will give you a massive trigger warning. There's some really heavy subjects and a witness statement from one of the female characters midway through the book about a rape that occurred, and the statement she gives in court about what happened and her story of what happened. I was a rape crisis counselor for a while and heard some very, very horrific true life stories. Never gets any easier. I know this is fiction and not true, but it can be very triggering for anyone that's been through any sort of assault. So I will say that if that's not something you're interested in, I just want to make sure to put that warning out there. It is a very small part of the book, but it is very powerful and very, I don't want to say disturbing. I mean, it's very, very heavy. But it does tie into the story and the overall timeline of where the majority of the book is but the majority of the book is really about healing and helping others. This is just a small part of it, but it is a very powerful part. So just to let you know, that's out there. Overall, a good read. I did agree with I watched a review, Kansas City Girl in the Colorado World, who's another Flosstuber that does some book reviews. She says maybe a little overhyped on this book. Maybe. It was a good book, but I don't know that it was like one of the best I've ever read. So I'd recommend it. Just maybe it's the trigger warning thing, or maybe it's the powerful topics. Um, just to put that out there, maybe that's why it didn't quite jump out at me as one of my favorites ever, but still good. Next is, oh my gosh, all these heavy ones. Okay. Next is The Words We Whisper by Marianne Taylor. We get a dual story here as well. There's a hospice nurse in current day that gets a call from her sister that their grandma is not doing well. This is the grandma that raised her after her parents died when she was pretty young. So she goes to help take care of her grandma. And at the same time, we're getting the story of a woman named Isabella that's in World War II Italy. And we're not really sure throughout the whole story if Isabella is grandma or how she's tied to grandma, but we're getting both stories. And while grandma in current day is telling um, her granddaughter that she needs to go through her stuff and find this particular thing in the attic. They don't know what the thing is, but it's somehow they know it has to do with her past that they don't know a lot about. So eventually it's all connected and we figure out what's going on in the story, not till the end. There's a lot of sickness and death and sadness in both, the past and the present. And I did like the book and was pleasantly surprised about how the two stories connected and who Isabella actually was. But it was another heavy one too, and I've been doing a lot of heavy reading this month. So just based on all of that subject matter, it was heavy, but it was really good. It was really good um, hearing the connection of the two stories and the World War II story especially. Okay, this one, nice palate cleanser after all this heavy reading, called The Exception to the Rule by Christina Lauren. It was more of a short story. I think it was free on like Kindle Unlimited, so I just picked it it was a super quick read about email exchange between two high school students, a male and a female, who don't know each other. They just accidentally, I think one of them thought he was emailing the teacher. It was a very similar email address, but slightly different, and she replies no. Um, you'll want to email it to, I'm not the teacher, I'm a student. And it happens to be on Valentine's Day. So she says, like, thanks for emailing me on Valentine's Day. And then it becomes a joke for like a decade that they email each other at this email address only on Valentine's Day. And then it becomes 10 years later, they're in college and they're still emailing on Valentine's Day. That then eventually it grows into outside of Valentine's Day and wanting to meet. Very cute story, very quick read. I think I read it over a couple of hours and that was it. There's some funny banter back and forth between the two characters in the email strings, and it was just a very nice palate cleanser after all of this very, very heavy reading. So cute one, especially if you can get it for free. And the last book I read is Slow Dance by Rainbow Rowell. It's really related at first with a story that had me reminiscing a lot about my high school days, both good and bad. It's about this group of three friends that are like inseparable in high school. They're two guys and one girl, and they, of course, after high school, inevitably drift apart. Initially, there's some high school flashbacks, and the main character, Shiloh, I got really annoyed with at first because I thought she was really whiny. I thought she was just very negative, and there's even one of the parts in the story and one of the flashbacks that one of the guides points this out to her and just says, why can't you just have fun? Like, this could have been a good experience, just have fun. But she's got to be negative about everything, which really bothered me. But eventually it comes back around to as she grows and learns more about herself and comes into the present time, some of that is related to some of her fears and anxieties, and um, kind of makes a little more sense. There is some like back and forth in the timeline that doesn't follow it's all over the place. It makes sense because they introduce within the first at least within the first paragraph, like where you're at in the story, but it is all over the place in the timeline. There's like present, high school, in between high school, and then it might go back to high school, and then somewhere in college, and before the last one of the last college story. So it's all over the place, but it makes sense, and it kind of connects to how it connects to the current timeline in the story. So you have to pay attention a little bit to where you're at in the timeline, but it makes sense when you put it all together. So again, I had trouble at first relating to Shiloh and her negativity, but I came back and explained a little more about her psychology and how she grows as a person before the end, and I was really rooting for her, more so for the two male characters. I love those male characters, Carrie and Will. Carrie especially, for all of his patience and his dedication to his friends and his family and his career. He joins the Navy and goes through boot camp and is a career um, Navy man, and just really how he has patience with Shiloh, and even when she's a pain in the butt. But really liked the dynamic and the psychology of some of the growing up and growing apart, but maybe still coming back to being friends. So that was a good read as well. So that is it for my book section. And this is the end of my video. Thank you if you stuck around. I really appreciate that you joined me, and I hope to hear from you if you leave me a comment. And I hope to see you next time.